Friends only, confirm.
Okay.
Put me in, coach. Hello?
I found it. I found
think
my glasses.
Oh, finally. I think my game is bugged. Oh, never mind.
Wait, Dave?
Yes!
Dave? David!
What do you need, Seb? Maybe I can help.
Thank you, Akka. You're always the goat. So, where do I open Lethal Company in?
Oh my god. Open your Thunder store. Open your mod pack by opening the profile. And then on top
Select
right.
profile.
Yeah, select profile. And then on the top right, there's a modded button.
Okay. Opening via stream. Steam.
Everybody
Do we have each other as friends?
Who are you?
Damn.
Fucking stupid.
No.
I guess
I don't
I'm
think we're
irrelevant
friends.
now.
I already started stream, by the way. Just letting you guys know.
That's fine. At least I'm using my good mic so I can say how mean you are. Just kidding.
I don't think we're friends on Steam. I can't believe it. Do we never play together? I guess it didn't mean that much to you back then.
Dang.
Ah!
That's
How
crazy.
do I change my appearance? Oh, there we go. Haku. Who's Haku?
I don't even know you anymore. Oh wait, we do have each other as friends.
We
Okay,
do?
yay. Crisis averted.
Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Hello. Well, there's no indicator.
Who needs an invite?
Can I see? How can I see how I look like?
Invite
Give me a
me.
second.
Oh,
You
I
can't,
cannot
just
see
trust
Toe.
us.
Akka, can you hear me?
You look
Hello,
like
hello,
Jax.
hello.
you need. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Tyre, you need to
Yay.
open
Other.
your Lethal through Thunder Store.
How do I look at
Oh
myself?
shit.
You can't, just
Okay.
trust us. You look like
Okay.
Jax.
Yes.
I can't see. I wanna see.
Hi, everybody.
Let me see Akka's room.
No.
Thank you for being.
Hi.
No,
Here,
I'm
guys.
looking.
Congrats on being first,
no,
Swirl.
I'm not gonna let you look.
Hi, Val.
No, no. Don't tell me.
I hope college is good.
Get in this corner.
Did you open it, Tayo? Through the
Oh,
Thunder
oh.
Store?
I should have. Wait, the back to game selection.
Where's Dave? Is Dave AFK?
I'm here.
What
It's
Oh, never
happened to
mind.
right
me?
in front of you.
I've selected the game.
Yes. Then you open the mod
Pick
pack
an outfit. Blue.
Okay.
by select
Select
profile.
How do we emote again?
And then on top right, there's a modded button.
It's crazy.
Oh. Okay. Fail to find preloader DP.
I don't want
Oh.
What?
Definitely
DL.
X.
Hi,
Right?
Suzia.
Oh my god, Toko, yo. Hi.
Did you promote my stream and yours?
Yeah, why not? Playing with you.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I added everyone. I said we're going live and playing Lethal.
Guys, how do I jump?
I don't know how to jump.
I'm trying. It's not
Yeah, we got new emotes.
So stop crouching.
Akka gone full dog.
How?
Yep.
Control.
Tayo, did you open it yet?
Ah! I
Macabra.
should, but I'm getting it error. No.
We're waiting for you.
Oh my god, is everyone waiting?
Yes, it's
No.
just you.
No, that's crazy.
Oh, I'm so
Wait,
sorry.
wait.
Hi.
Sorry, guys. I'm talking to Tayo.
Hey.
Wait, ah!
Okay, you guys can.
Frog. Frog.
Is that what you guys look like?
Up to the mouth. Yeah, I did it earlier.
What do I look like,
It's
guys?
crazy.
Oh my god.
It's
X.
crazy.
What is that thing? X?
I'm gonna send this.
Sorry, what, Tayo?
No, I'm downloading a thing, so hopefully I can.
I thought you already set this
Get out
up.
Well, yeah, I thought I did too, but it said something
I don't
about
like
it.
Jax.
Oh, you guys play first. I'll try to.
I'm your Jack's toy. Come and get a laugh, boy.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
I'm
What the fuck?
sorry. That's such a chud.
No, can you share your screen?
Okay.
It's so
okay.
simple.
Okay.
Yeah, because even I got it.
Alright, so when I click
Wait, I'm
modded,
deafened.
You're on the wrong one.
Stupid.
Go back.
wrong
Go top left.
Hmm.
Change profile. Yeah, you didn't import the right mods.
Don't press.
change
Don't
profile.
press.
Is it not
import.
this one?
Where did the
No.
bed go? Did I?
Press
How
import.
do you dance again?
Go
Oh,
back.
where's the
How do you emote
Press
again?
import.
active games?
No. Go back to lethal.
I'm dancing.
How do
Okay.
you dance again? How do you emote?
Press 1.
Press 1.
Oh.
The music, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Press
use voice
import,
now, doing the
update.
music.
Yeah.
Good
From
costume.
code.
And code.
Costume game.
Paste code.
Oh, we can change. Okay, let me. Okay,
that's cool.
what do I get? Ragatha,
Import.
Omni.
And
Import new
Okay,
profile.
so-
Call it whatever.
What am I?
Create.
Do I look like?
Your
Oop.
Now
bubble.
select it.
I'm a bubble.
Press select profile.
If you look in the VC chat, you see
Yeah.
an example
I
of what
did.
it looks like.
but why did it only import
It's
two
news
things?
to me
Eh?
that it's news to
Yeah.
you.
You have
to press
What is
So I
it?
have
Is that a
to.
loaded gun? Is
So,
Yeah, maybe if
that a
I
loaded
Which
gun?
degree
this.
who?
I have to
That guy's actually bubbles.
updating mod list. From,
Could
okay.
go on.
Oh, maybe it's because I didn't update
Yeah,
the
Rin.
Thunderstore.
My favorite.
You definitely need to update Thunderstore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could go on and on, but in the end, who are we kidding?
Riding the shore.
Oh, okay. I think
There
it'll
we
work
go.
after this. Hopefully.
Yes.
Whoa, whoa.
Sorry.
you're gonna have to get used to that stuff. The darkness.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because of Aka.
Select profile. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, you can stop streaming.
Okay.
Let me know when your game's open.
I really want to
Logic.
bonk someone.
Hi guys! I want to pick a different. Wait, how do I emote?
1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be
Ew.
bubble. I want a body.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the.
Miku.
What's in it?
There we go.
You.
Oh my god. Terrifying. So press
What's
E
on my head?
on one of these.
What's on my head? What's on my head?
You gotta
Do I have
press
a cat
E on
ear?
this side if you want to switch.
So I'm gonna be genuine. I cannot see you at all.
Hold
Me?
down E.
Oh my god. I just saw
You can
myself.
see me?
Okay, now there's 2 cans. It's concerning.
News to me that it's news to you. To which degree who answers to her?
Is Taya here?
Wait, how do you
Yeah, I'm here.
change the
Can you guys hear
See,
me?
menu?
Dave?
Yep.
Can you see me?
Yes.
No. No.
What? It's just me? Oh, man.
Alright. Hello
Hi.
everybody. We are all here finally. Is everyone here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7, 8!
Dave can't see me, by the way.
I think it'll be fixed in the later rounds. It usually
Okay.
happens. If not, I can rejoin the next intermission.
Why is there another cane? Damn, no doubles!
Why drag it though?
I'll change. Hello.
Wait, I have a cat here. No.
Why is there another Jax?
I'm switching.
I'm kidding. Give me whatever you want. Anyways, hello everybody. My name is Markiplier. We're playing Lethal with the homies. We have Dave. We have Seth.
How do I
I hate you!
customize myself?
Okay.
Oh.
We have Blentilda. Hello.
No.
It's our first time playing with Blentilda ever. It's crazy.
Aku?
Hi.
Thank you for inviting
Right.
me.
Hold on, let me turn you
Let's not-
up. You're kind of quiet for me.
Let's all be classy and not be too loud because we don't want to
Hello,
overwhelm
hello.
our first guest in the circus.
Tell that to yourself.
We don't need. We don't need all that. We have Cho. Hi, Cho.
Hi. Where are you? Oh, hi.
No. What? Why are you crouching?
Why
'cause
I
you're
can't
tall.
crouch? Yeah.
Who's this? Oh, Tayo. Hi, Tayo.
Hi.
Who are you?
Why did I wear my
Oh my
ear?
god. I don't know. What is this character? I just clicked whatever. Oh my god. Are you doing the nene?
I have
No, I'm
cat
waving.
Who's doing
Ear. Cat
nene?
ear. How do I change it?
And I have Kyo. Hi,
How do I
Kyo.
do
Hello.
Press escape
Oh.
and go to the bottom right green
Since-
icon.
Hold on, I didn't put you down.
Oh.
Am I bubble now? Can I be bubble? I'm bubble now.
You're
Hey,
above me.
Bubble.
Yes, you're Bubble.
Yeah.
Where's Diego?
How does Odin?
Oh, that's it's you.
EXO,
Hi.
EXO. Gossip Girl.
Hello, Diego.
EXO.
Do I have a hat?
Oh my
Do I
god.
have
Who's
a hat?
doing that?
It's that
Bubble.
small one. The small one.
Why did I look like that? Why did I look like that?
Ew. Hold on, I want to change. I'm gonna remove my stuff.
What's wrong with me?
You want to change? What happened to royalties?
It was
I don't care about royalties. Anyways, alright guys, ready to lethal our company? Or whatever
I'm
we
Yes.
do?
gonna die.
I'm so ready.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, an adventure!
Are you choosing the thing, Dave?
No,
One
I'm
of
choosing.
your- one of
I'm
your
choosing
stupid
this.
adventures.
Hold on.
Why you just stood there?
I'm thinking about
Yes.
our new adventure.
Wait, I thought this is Akka. That's Sev. Where's Akka?
No, that's me.
Me too. This is stupid.
Are you in the-
Okay, we're getting really distracted.
I'm going
Okay.
outside.
We're starting.
My coat is inside.
Alright, everybody, play how you want. If you want to group up, or if you want to go alone, I don't care.
Can be my Jack's toy. Huh?
Wow, the atmosphere is really far.
Bam.
I don't have anyone to
Okay,
unlock
jump.
and save. Okay, jump.
Alright, like leave them
Dump.
behind.
That's so funny. It's so funny. You're so funny.
Darn ass rock.
Kango looks like a monster.
Yeah.
What?
This episode of the Digital Circus kind of weird.
You say it's a little bit lethal?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want your company anymore.
Shut up! Is Buntilda okay? I kind of feel bad for just running off.
I can't fucking save. Bye, guys.
I found this pen! Na 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 na.
Sam's over here.
What the hell is that? Oh!
Hello.
Oh my god, your avatar is so bright, dude!
Why am I glowing?
Me walking alone. Maybe I should have stayed with the group. Do 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 do. How did I miss that? Somewhere here, yeah. Hello? 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 I'm kidding.
Hello, Kinger.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Oh my god.
Hello.
Oh, hi, sorry. I didn't see you guys the whole game. Oh. Oh, I'm scared. You know,
Game like that.
I'm
Why?
not used to. I'm not used to. I'm not used to. I got his voice coming out of Kinger, so I freaked out for a little bit.
I'm crying.
You should
Why?
do the. You should do.
Bro.
What?
You know how the Kinger voice actor
So tall.
has to go like oh to get into like the
Hello?
oh.
Arr. I can't do it.
Seth, get over here. Oh my god! Do not get over there!
There's something in there.
Bubble scared me. I'm just gonna go. Hi.
Alright.
The digital circus avatar is actually scaring us. I scared myself. Chat, let me know how volume is. If I should make game quiet or louder. Hello. It's getting late.
So Diego's dead.
Oh. Oh, how'd that happen?
Then Teal's there. Sev is there. Io's there. They're just at the entrance. Wait, Aka.
Yeah?
Let's go to the exit.
Oh, hold on. I want to see if I could scare them. No one's here. I scared no one.
Let's go to the exit.
Okay.
Did you know about this exit?
Yes, I do.
Yay. Let's see if we can find any more items in this amazing digital company.
Amazing digital company. Hi, Matsy.
Ooh, dustpan.
It's getting dusty in here.
It's getting hot in here.
So take off all your clothes.
Hello.
Anybody here? No, didn't. Have
Nothing
key.
there.
Because bread tastes
spiderwebs?
better than key. Oh, I hear them.
It's a big area over here.
Leaves you. Oh. Ah! No, I'm fine.
Oh, follow me.
Eh? Hello?
Yeah, go that way. There's
Hello?
gonna be a fire exit.
Oh, yeah, I found the main entrance from here, but that's okay too.
Oh.
Can you
Right
add a
here.
little bit
Where's
more
everybody?
pattern?
Go that way.
What are you guys doing?
Oh, sorry. I freaked out. Oh wait, how do we cross?
Hi!
You don't have to cross. You
Why?
don't have to cross. Go around.
Don't cross. Come here.
Oh, this way? Okay. Okay.
What the heck?
Oh, whoa!
That it's
Thanks.
used to you. To which degree? Who answers to?
You should be quiet. You never know if there's a dog out here.
Alright, those dogs.
Only dog here is me. I got that dog in me.
You don't.
What? Oh!
Why did that scare me? Oh!
Okay, go.
We got barkers in chat. Someone pushed me? Somebody pushed Cho. Who pushed Cho?
No,
There's two dead people.
Who pushed Cho?
Cho fell with like a giant
Look at this.
cog,
You
I
see
think.
that? There's two dead people.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
And yeah, Diego's dead. Yeah.
Alright, let's
Eagle's
go.
dead too.
On and on and again. Who are we kidding? I hate you.
Why?
No, I wasn't talking to you. Not everything's about you.
Okay!
Oh.
Kinger is scary in this mod.
Yeah, like.
It's so
You're
scary.
so tall.
Oh wait.
Guys, I know I have a
Can't
fat ass.
believe-
We don't have to slap it. I fell down because of it. Who?
Damn.
No, I.
Who pushed
Not
me?
me.
Bubble?
I didn't push
That could be Ribbit.
anybody.
There's
No,
bubbles.
I don't do things
I
like
also
that.
was pushed.
No, I want to be Pomni, actually.
Really? Yes, you will. You really are the lesser of the two.
I will bother you.
What?
I will bother
Yeah,
you.
I'm so small! Oh my god!
You're so small. Ew, I look so scary. What the heck? How do you emote? The other emotes?
If you hold your... I don't know.
Girl. What?
I don't know.
I think the e-bike trip. The
La
emo
la la. La la.
goes backwards.
I need.
Jump!
Don't push me.
Jump!
Jump!
What the heck, guys?
I'm gonna follow Pomni.
I'm gonna touch you.
I'm gonna touch you, Pomni.
What?
Wow, don't fall. I fall with you.
Fall?
Ah!
Out, boys?
A little bit harder.
Cause we can be immortal.
Oh my god.
We could be
What's happening to the door? Oh my god, that scared me.
Why did the door do that?
No idea.
Hello.
Don't be scared, Pomni.
Walk forward, walk forward.
Oh.
Anything
Oh, don't
here?
step
I
on
can
that.
easily step on that with my big fat butt. You really thought.
Whoever
Big
pushed
bubble butt.
You go first.
I am literally a ball. I can't push anybody.
You're staying by my side, huh?
Yes, of course, bro. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So there's nothing here. New creature. Be careful. I think you're the creature that I scanned.
Oh, did you hear that?
No? Yes?
Oh. That's not good. Oh, Pomni. How's it go with you and Jax?
Ew! Don't ask me these
Oh,
things.
freaking
Carry that.
Yes, sir. I mean, ma'am. I mean, Pooba.
Okay, I hear a dangerous man. So we have to be careful.
It's Reagan.
Shut up. You hear that? Calm down. Calm down.
Radiation.
The bug will show us
Hi.
where loot is.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Seb,
follow.
Follow the
don't go
bug.
there. Don't go there. Don't go
Oh
there.
my god.
Drop it. Drop it. Drop. Oh my god.
Where are you?
Anyways.
Come on, there, Tony.
Okay. 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 Damn it. Damn it. 2, 4, 5. Oh, it's 2 left. 2 survivors.
Okay, I'm going.
Kio's just walking casually with a light.
Me too. 5 people dead.
Seb doesn't even know how to get out. He's so lost.
There were like 3 things.
Okay, goodbye.
Cho made it out.
Oh, who voted?
What do you mean mine's full?
Oh yeah, they have limited time to get back. Oh,
Huh?
cause somebody voted.
Oh,
Who voted? I didn't vote.
I didn't
either.
vote.
Diego,
Oh, never mind.
Diego, we lost all our loot.
Oh, I've noticed.
Man.
It's because
I
you
didn't vote
you guys
anything.
have to not vote early.
Called
If you
it out.
die, don't vote early. Just leave it.
We didn't vote early at all. It was just
What
there.
views?
What happened?
Had.
Guys,
I
I
wanted
need
to
people
see
to
it
hold my
play out.
hand because I keep getting lost.
You just follow.
I was like, where am I?
Where we going, Captain?
We're
Check it
gonna
out.
split up and get all the items in the
Ew.
Oh,
I mean, hi. I miss you, or something.
You don't know him.
All right, I don't know him.
know
I'm Pomni.
Red card.
Wait a minute.
my own.
Pomni.
Wait a minute, Pomni. Why am I so tiny?
Pomni. Jump!
you gotta
I need
vote early if,
someone- I need-
everyone's on the ship and there's nobody else left to save, or if
Yeah.
there's only one person left alive.
Where do we
Or
go?
we'll
To the
home.
right.
I'm gonna
To the right, to the right.
I'm gonna follow Cosmo.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Pomni. Okay, we go one by one here.
No.
What? Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Anyway. Nothing here.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I bet the others don't know their way here.
I think Kyo would.
I want to grab this already.
Hold on. Wait.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
Why is it so dark? Is there
Hello?
like a-
Hello? 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 Hey, don't panic. No?
Is there actually nothing? Hold on.
Yeah, I can't find anything. Hey.
Oh my god.
Hallway here.
What the?
Oh.
I found a large area.
My
Found
hand
key?
is upside down.
Because bread tastes better than key.
Pomni, I lost.
I just saw Pomni running.
Hey. Oh my god, we got our funny bunny moment. Come here.
Okay.
Just follow me.
Okay.
Key!
Okay.
Will we ever find anything? Jax, I'm scared! Kidding.
The fuck was that? Oh, the wall.
Hello? There you are.
Okay. Yeah, ah, never mind.
Can't find anything.
I'm gonna open the door for you. Now you open the door. Oh, damn, you can just crouch like that? Okay.
Is there anything in here?
Okay.
What the heck? We're finding nothing.
What's the river?
We'll be extremely lost. You hear that?
Yes, it's me.
Oh, it's cute.
Oh. What was it? What is that? The door. Okay.
The door. The other side of the door.
Okay. Just following you around.
Big
What
area.
is
Don't
that?
fall. There's ledges around.
Falls.
You're risky like that, right?
Falls
I have
again.
keys.
Ooh.
Oh, this is where I fall.
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Oh.
This don't
Just
change
behind.
What's the
much.
point?
Oh,
There's nothing
spider.
burger.
Spider!
Where?
Where?
Oh, on the other side, you don't go over there.
Hi. Hey!
There's
Hey,
nothing over there.
Hey.
Okay.
So,
Your
Let's go here.
adventures fucking sucks.
Oh. Okay. So it just jumps off the rail. Let's go down.
spiders?
Oh no.
uh-oh.
Well, let's
Let's
go
run
back,
into it.
guys.
Oh, okay.
Shoot.
Or actually stay here.
They don't care. They don't.
Yeah?
I won't let them.
Why are you following me?
I'm gonna touch you, puppy.
Shut
Oh
up!
shit. Oh shit.
Oh no.
I've never
No.
seen this area before.
Ooh,
Spiders,
we're so
like, right-
skinny.
The spider's behind us, by the way.
We're
Who
so
closed
skinny. We gotta move fast, y'all.
Where is spider?
Right behind us.
Follow the leader. What is this place? Oh yeah, we gotta go
Ooh,
up here.
a sign.
We go up?
Pomni is the leader.
Yeah. I remember.
You
this, I
remember? Okay.
We usually go upstairs from here. That's locked. Oh my god!
I mean, if it's
Poppy, you're
locked,
so
then-
awesome. Oh!
Disconnected.
Oh! It's our moment.
Oh.
Oh, here. Let's go. Guys, let's go.
Right. La, 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 la.
Okay, we have to go home. Follow me, guys. We can
How
find the
about your
exit
friendship
together.
fellas?
I did nothing today. I'm just
Yeah.
here for the vibes.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Just follow me.
Damn. So many
No.
bushes and shrubs. But do
This
you know
is the
what
scary
bush
part.
I want?
Your big mouth is gonna
We
kill
are-
us all.
Humans.
Shut up! Oh my god.
Your adventure sucks anyways, bro.
Shut up, gay rabbit! I'm just...
Zoom. This giant, goodbye.
I can't move!
Look at it.
Oh man!
Oh no.
This bitch. Who closed the door?
Hello?
Open the fucking door.
There we go.
Oh, right now.
Hey.
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 Io is all alone right now.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
I only have this.
They're going the same way that you guys were going, so I think they should be going to the exit.
I don't have anything.
What do I hear outside?
Giant.
Giant.
Ooh, scary.
Honey, come
Oh.
back!
It's there.
Why are you so clingy?
You guys
There's a
drop your things?
monster.
Oh! Oh! They got Jax! Oh, they got Jax!
I'm your Jack boy! Come and get... Uh-oh.
Oh my god! Ah! Goodbye! Me too!
What was the item?
Goodbye, guys.
No.
Why did you follow me?
Hell.
Why did you follow me?
Sorry.
That's so stupid.
I was just being
dumbass
silly. You
digital
followed me.
circus.
I saw it coming, but I thought they saw it too.
Hi,
So
summertime.
They
Is Taya playing with you?
obstructed.
Yes. Hi, Silver.
it's over.
Gotta
Are we
wait
the
for
only one who's
Kyo.
alive?
Is the giant
Or
still
is
there?
it you? I believe so. I heard this. Something.
Oh.
Do you guys have any items you can drop?
My big fat.
He survived for so long.
Everyone's still
What happened to you?
Wait, let me see if there's any.
Who, me?
Nah, get scared.
No, Diego.
Oh, Kyo got eaten.
Jumping.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Missing.
we got that right.
Alright.
But no, we can't go
Did you die by a spider,
Why?
Kyo?
Is it
because
the
we do
giant?
not have the
I saw
money.
that spider.
Oh.
So if the giant is there, the item is right beside it.
Okay, you just gotta order me what to do.
They're
and
gonna
I'll do
risk it.
I'm gonna try my best to get that item.
We did.
Wait, where?
H.
Wait to distract him for you?
Yeah, we can try that. I can be
Oh my god.
Talk.
Hi, it's Bubba.
Item. Hey, don't go out.
Okay, okay.
We're gonna get 8.
That's why I said don't go out.
Oh,
Oh no! Oh, okay.
Ah.
What is that, like a
I'm gonna go
dog?
inside, right? It's just too big.
The amazing
Are
digital.
There's a
they
giant.
waiting
Stop
for
going
it-
outside. Oh my
For them to
god.
go out,
I'm
like,
not going outside.
I don't know what they're
Going
doing.
inside.
So skinny, you can
They're-
probably barely notice.
I don't think we have enough money. That's why they're.
Trying to make
Yeah,
it
we already failed on our first run.
No, it's can't.
Hmm. What to do? What to do?
What to do,
Oh,
what to do.
wonder with our orbs.
So the item that Kyo had is right by where the giant is.
Oh, okay.
I think they're trying to get your body, Kyo.
No, it's farther
I'm trying to
away.
get the stuff on my body.
It's by the dogs.
Dave is so brave.
I'm here to join in.
It's too late.
Maybe.
I think we should just reset.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys sure you don't have any other items?
Sadly, no.
No.
We're not gonna make quota.
That was so
Unless-
funny.
Can sacrifice for the circus.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Look at this. So if I stop moving or if I disappear
Mhm.
in this channel,
Why aren't you guys
that means I
leaving? We
died.
don't have enough for quota.
Okay.
We're doing last resort stuff.
This is our job now.
I literally said I can sacrifice myself. I guess I'm not
Yeah.
that dependable at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Right? Just to be quota. Just to be quota.
Ginkle in the woods. Is Dave able gonna? Huh? What am I saying? Will Dave be able to get the stuff? Oh, he's a goner.
Oh, I hear him stomping around. Wait, it's not Jason? You can run away from them?
It didn't see him yet.
Oh.
Damn.
Where are you going?
Why are we screenshotting the
Oh.
same thing, Diego?
Oh,
1 hour. Just like
Oh man, they found me.
10 minutes.
uh oh. It's coming. Oh my god. Dave is a gamer?
I'd rather die.
Oh, he drowned himself.
Okay.
Oh, by Gingle.
Yes.
I can't go.
Anyway.
Man,
Bye bye everybody!
I literally cannot find Kyo's item.
We're the most useless.
We are so John! Oh god! I'm the
Like
worst
anything.
host ever!
Kane just lets everybody
awkward.
die.
You're
Yes?
so useless. I'm
We
sorry,
did not meet
guys.
quota.
I know.
We gonna die.
We die.
Loki,
Yeah.
I have a strat. Let's just land the ship and fly off immediately, and then we're not dead.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Oh, Buntilda, your mic is a little muffled. I'm not sure if you could fix that.
Ah. Hello, hello.
Yeah,
Is it okay, better?
a little bit.
Okay. I don't
No
know.
one
I
can
think
read
this
a
is how I
mind poker face. He's gotta love nobody.
Is that poker face? Yeah.
Hey.
My poker face, my poker face.
And then
Oi!
Oh. Yay.
No one can read a mind poker face.
Bye.
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 Oh, bro's gone.
You left him behind.
It's loading.
Oh, do you all want some piping hot tea?
No, thank you.
You're suddenly
Burns
British?
you.
Ah! Why would you do that?
Nah, I can just heal you with a snap of my finger.
Okay. Wow.
Burns you again.
Damn, bro.
As you have not met the
Look what you did!
your performance has been deemed for
I'm so sorry. How do I put this
Welcome to
down?
our disciplinary
Too late. No takesies, backsies.
Damn. Fire.
Huh? Where am I? Kidding.
There.
Tired.
Who am I? What's my name?
Let's start.
Welcome to your first day
Get
on
your
the job.
costumes, guys.
This is your
Oh,
very
Gummy Goo.
own autopilot ship, where you will eat and sleep for the duration of your contract.
Hello there, mate.
You.
Make
Oh, we're
yourself
starting already. Okay.
to complete
Let's
the
go.
onboarding
Yeah.
process.
We're speedrunning.
You will want
We run.
Oh.
Speedrun.
Hi.
Speedrun.
Where's my beautiful
Everyone
wife?
needs at least 2 items.
to be a great asset.
That's LARPing with himself.
I'm gonna larp.
I can hear him just faintly.
I should actually take the fire exit.
Otay.
Sparks have in common, they both have beautiful black wine.
Oh, hi.
Oh my god. Oh, that's not a door.
There is a mine nearby, and I'm scared. Why is it so dark?
I'm already
Oh,
lost.
bless you.
Bless you.
Oh my god.
That's okay.
Oh, you also went.
I'm already lost. You're scared. You're
Big bolt! Big bolt, big bolt.
We can definitely. It's pretty succeed, right? I don't know.
Why is it so hard to see?
Whoa! Whoa! You scared me. I'm so sorry. I have to stop doing that.
Damn it! Key? 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 Key, 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 key? Can I find a key? Can I find a key?
Oh my god, bro.
Does anyone have a key?
No.
Where's the source box?
I found
Someone's
one.
gonna step on that. Someone's gonna step on that.
I'm so gamer.
Go back to the ship.
Why is it so dusty?
What?
Alright, time to head back. Hello?
That actually scared me. Oh my god, you're so scary.
I'm Kinger!
Hello? Ah! Leave me alone! How do I drop things? Oh, it's too late. Oh my god, I had so much stuff too. Guys, if you can hear me, I'm dead. How did it reach me? Guys, I so chud. I so freaking chud.
My god.
I think.
You.
Oh, I'm lost. I can't see anything. Where am I?
No, just keep walking. Just keep
Dark.
walking. Just keep walking.
Off the light? What happened?
I wish I
Over
could
here.
see.
There we go.
No. I'm over here. Follow my voice.
I think I fixed the entire. No, it was just that one part.
Over here. Over here.
Tyra's just doing the chores right now. Uh-oh.
Oh,
What?
bugged out.
The perspective.
Are we going back
Oh,
already?
what happened to you?
I think so.
Hi.
Spider.
Stuff on the ship.
Oh, spider.
I'm gonna check how much there
Let me
is.
screenshot
King
this.
anymore.
There's not
I'm
much
Sabato.
inside.
Hi, sashimi.
Don't call me that.
Probably good for us, right?
Oh.
Ayo.
I don't know where to go.
A lot of other things in the.
That as well.
I'm your friend. What's Taya doing?
Friend.
Yeah, dude.
Not again.
We're
Very
friends.
sad. Don't go that way. The spider's gonna know where we are.
I guess that concept is kind of new to you, huh?
Shoot, didn't we come from over here?
I know you're
There's a
already
spider.
dead, but can you kill yourself
whoa,
again?
whoa, what stream?
Oh. Stay alive, April Fools.
I'm just doing whatever.
I hope you live a prosperous life.
Okay.
Saying that as I look into the crying Mort picture.
Right here, do you remember?
So,
Everybody's
from one
lost.
goes to
Body
another.
was dead.
How did you die? How did you get in this?
A
limbo?
face hugger.
Let me
I got hugged in the face.
Aw.
What about you?
They
got
want
spy
you
in
so
the dirt?
bad.
Hey.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello? What do you want from me, brother?
A reaction.
Oh.
Hello?
Oh, now Ty's alive.
Maybe.
Say don't say anything.
I swear I'm not bad, maybe. I'm not here to eat you guys.
Am I
Not
holding this like a
hungry yet.
gun?
Eels
Oh.
out.
There's 11
Sorta.
objects outside the ship.
There you go. Oh. Found it.
Yay! Matilda made it!
Now I just need to know where I have to go. Hello?
Uh-oh.
This way?
Can she do it? Oh!
Hey.
Welcome back.
Oh, yes.
Oh wait.
Hey,
Ah ha ha. Ha.
Cook.
how's everybody?
They said there's 11 items.
Oh, really?
Okay, so Aka,
That place.
What?
since there's I can't believe we both died.
It must be destiny.
Hello.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that mean we share the same destiny? We really are twin. I
You're
shake your
so
hand.
twin.
Did you guys find
I
anything
rub
else?
your
Okay, yeah.
brain.
Wow, I rub your brain too.
Open the door.
Yeah.
We'll just watch Steph
Flushes.
die.
Wait,
If anything, I don't know
why
if
did
Steph
you
had
make my
anything on
brain
him.
seem so
Open the
smooth?
door.
Hmm.
Because
The
it
red
is.
moon.
How did
See, my hand slips off.
Lord,
Wait.
they're all dead.
So easily.
Are they dead?
No
Oh my
friction!
God.
No friction. There's nothing in there.
Is Cho here?
Hi.
Oh, because it's inside.
Okay.
It's
I think we
inside
can
my
start the
brain.
ship.
It's not.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Let's go,
no.
let's
I'll do it. How would you know? We're
Because I'm
both twins.
touching it.
go. I like being a floating head.
You're a bubble.
Yeah.
So
I- well,
scandalous. Bro, stop
you
it.
dance.
Sharp teeth.
I'm actually holding
Tyler
the
asking
gun.
if he could dance, but he just has a spear.
That's one.
How is he gonna dance? He's bobbing his
Bobbing
head.
in place.
Stop! Stop!
It was just me and
Something.
Seb in the death thing the whole time.
Yeah, and
How did you
dude,
die?
bro's just
Boing, boing,
bobbing
boing.
his head.
That's so funny.
Start.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Big teeth is
This is how Digital Circus is gonna end. They all start a band.
lyrics. I miss my wife.
Poker
I
face.
miss my wife so much.
And the body.
My beautiful black wife.
Alright, let's go, Kinger.
Poker face. Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys.
So,
I.
Every pony.
This
Yeah.
was small.
I so tiny. I so very
so
tiny. Where's that? Whatever, he'll get lost.
Bye.
Alright, guys, follow me.
Hmm.
When you're on my side, you'll always be safe.
Falls over.
I almost
Oh.
fell.
I said you will always be safe. What are you doing?
I slipped.
You can't.
Falls.
Oh, it's right here. Alright, guys.
Whoa.
Let's go find our loot.
Hi.
Hi.
I hope I can find something at least. I haven't found anything so far.
What's
Yeah.
that in here?
It's because we're in the low-level maps.
Mhm.
I wish we had flashlights. Must be more.
Whoa.
So, it's like a field trip.
Yeah.
I can see all three of you behind me.
Mhm.
Following the leader.
Following the leader.
Let's sniff out the place.
Uh.
Locked.
Oh.
You guys have a key?
Oh.
Look at.
Key? Ooh, soccer ball.
Soccer ball.
Soccer ball. Where is it? Oh, there.
Oh, yeah.
Can someone else carry this?
Why is it censored? Okay, I'll take it.
It's too late.
Whoa.
Hey, do you want
Too
the ball?
slow.
Okay, but Taylor got it. It's okay.
Okay, I hold the ball.
Okay. I will hold another ball.
Yeah.
Your own.
Yeah, bro.
You are the ball.
Holds my own head.
Oh, there's more stuff. Oh, we're rich! You hold this.
Oh, what is that? Okay, I got it.
Don't
I got
lose it.
Spider! Spider alert!
Spider?
Spider alert!
Spider alert? Okay, guys. Go back.
Wait, can you guys take this? I have some stuff I see up there. I wanna
Yeah.
take that. Yeah.
Oh,
Is that it?
why?
Alright, guys.
Yeah.
Move!
Where do we
I'm
go?
going back up to get something.
Why are the items blurry?
Yeah.
Because they're not meant for... I don't know.
Did you have motion blur on?
Guys, are you guys here?
I'm right here.
What did I... Where are you? Where'd you go? Come here.
Oh, okay.
Nice, nice.
Where's here? Where's here?
Over here.
Can you see me?
Stay here.
You want me to carry that?
See anything?
No, I can.
Where's the exit?
Okay.
Shoot.
I know where it is. Oh my god. Ah, why is it me again? Oh my god. I'm dead, guys. It's over. You guys, go on without me.
Aka?
It's over.
Ka?
Goodbye.
Oh hell no, you did. Oh
I'm dead.
shit. Oh,
Goodbye.
No.
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 Bye, guys. You can find the exit without me.
Aka can't die without me.
No, hell no, goodbye. Hell no, goodbye.
Oh, that's a thing.
Are we trapped
Like
in
a-
both
There's-
ways?
Oh no.
Like a baby.
We got a raid! You know what that means?
Can someone
Oh, they're
carry?
just following us.
Ah, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What is that?
Oh,
Oh, that's a baby.
There's someone like.
Oh, it, Anna! Anna!
Where's the way out?
I feel like
Damn fetus!
The whole thing is happening while the raid alert is playing. It's so funny.
How do we get out of here?
Good question.
We need to get back to the entrance area.
I'll try to go down too. Oh, I closed the door. There's nothing over there.
Hello! Let me find a quieter person. Swalini, thank you so much for the raid! Welcome, raiders! I'm Akka. I'm currently dead. We're playing Lethal Company with my homies.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Where'd you go?
The man-eater is crying.
You upstairs.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the
Oh my God,
vibes.
what is that?
And we're kind of silly and loud, so yeah, just a disclaimer. Hope you have fun playing Ace Attorney. So true.
I'm inside a cable room downstairs.
Yeah. Did you
Flashing
die?
light.
I did die. I was the bravest one, and they let me die.
The alien.
I was trying to find their way out. I'm the only one who knows how to get out, but I died.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
never mind. They found their way out.
I'm not good with directions. Oh shit.
Shit, we're
Oh,
kind of locked in right now.
they're dealing with a monster right
It's
now.
looking at us.
So
At least you were brave.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if we look at it,
I died
will it
brave.
move? I think we have to make sure we're looking at it so it
I'll
doesn't
just
move.
say we found
Yeah.
But I don't know
You know
what
what they
it,
say? There's a name.
Dude, I can't.
it's-
I can't. I'm gonna.
it's-
Oh my god, you're right.
It's covering. It's covering the. It's covering our.
Okay, I think only
Oh.
one of us makes it out of here. I think only one of us makes it out of
This is
here.
so dramatic.
I'll continue looking at this guy. Jack's ready.
Can you go here? Can you go here? Like this ledge?
Yeah, I'll look at it.
No, you
So
go.
I don't think it can move. I don't think it moves if you're looking at it. I can go.
No,
up.
if I walk into it, it's gonna capture me. I have so many items.
Oh, shit, I'll walk into it then. I'll walk into it.
No,
do you have
that's not-
everything?
No.
Oh, the man-eater?
Okay, while it's eating me, just run. Okay.
What?
They're
There's
so
nothing
dead.
wrong.
I can't wait to watch this.
Holy shit, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Oh, it didn't kill me. It didn't kill me. Just keep looking at it. Oh god, my hands are so sweaty, dude.
Why is he freaking out?
For me.
Dude, I'm so scared. I don't even find it hot. Usually I think I would, but
Oh.
no, I don't even want to
Shit.
I
smash it.
thought
right
Cho died.
Why is it making chicken noises?
Why is Kyle so scared? Nothing's
I
happening.
can't even go past it.
Can't go past it. Wait.
I can't. I
Am I
can't.
skinny?
I
Am I
can't.
skinny?
How do we? You're not skinny enough, apparently. Oh, it's the fast
Shut
walking
up.
away. I can't. Alright, try
I'm
to.
gonna parkour. If I die,
Oh, the
here's
baby.
my item.
Oh wait, dude, but you have all the stuff. Oh, don't do
What is
that! Don't do that!
parkour? I'm gonna try this parkour. Okay, if I made it, I'll go back.
Okay, I'll take your stuff then.
Fuck you, bitch.
Oh, my hands are full.
Oh.
Okay, look at
Okay,
it,
I'm
look at it.
impressed.
How do I throw you the stuff? Okay, okay.
G. Press G.
Okay. G. Take that.
I'm still looking at it.
Funky Luna, thank you for the
Okay.
follow.
Yeah, take
Thank you,
your
thank
item.
you.
Okay.
Better to survive all together.
I'm looking at it.
Seb's going back.
Seb.
What Tony's doing?
Oh, Seb's okay.
Oh, I almost fell.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you take the other thing?
No, it's full.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay, go back. I'll look at it.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
No. You walk back. I can move.
Walk backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me some space so I can walk.
Okay, yeah. Okay, walk. I'm looking at the entrance.
Push!
Holy shit. Okay, I'm looking at it. I'm
Look at
looking
it.
at it.
Okay.
I'm
Ready?
looking at it.
Ready?
Yeah. I don't even know. Wait. Don't.
Guess what?
Are you looking
You're just doing whatever.
Way to
Get in here.
it's like
Oh, he's
Wait
here.
a minute, no!
Oh, they're still in there.
Oh yeah, here's the flashlight. By the way.
Yeah, that's flashlight.
We're going the right way.
I think one of them's a bracken.
There's goop here.
What?
Oh my
No,
god, they're
I'm
so
scared.
freaking
There's
dead.
goop. Okay, come this way.
What's that noise?
There's a steam lick. Cho? Okay.
Yep. I'm here.
We need to get out because I think there
I
will be
don't.
monsters
This
outside.
is the problem. I'm not good with directions.
We don't know where we are.
They're right there. They're literally right. No. Go back. They're literally right there. I saw the entrance. They're going back deeper.
Dude, what the? Oh, that's a pipe. That's a dead end. Okay.
Oh, you're so close.
To that whatever that was again.
Oh yeah.
Mannequin. Yeah.
I'm not good with
Do
directions,
not want
bro.
to see that again. Me neither.
Use true. Wait, no, I'm not. Pain.
I wonder if they hear that.
Oh, the giants, of course.
Oh, they did it.
Oh, they did
What
it.
do you mean?
Oh, how
Where the
are
heck
we
is the
going back?
ship?
Bridge right there.
Don't go on the bridge. It might fall, but we can try.
Don't run, dude.
Isn't this like the one person thing?
Yeah. Okay. Go now. I'm off the bridge. I'll wait for you. I think there might be a wait room,
The way Jax runs.
but we don't know where the ship is.
Somebody should pick them up. I guess they can't.
Okay. It's awesome.
They're so close. Careful.
Hello? Hello? Cho?
Did Cho die? Cho's fine. Oh.
Alright.
Where are you guys?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, we're here. Oh no.
Goodbye.
Oh.
Aw.
Grab my hand.
Well, they're dead.
That's so sad. Yay.
Oh my god.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
We had hella bank.
At least my parkour.
Halfway there.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched all of that. That was impressive. Yeah.
I was like, Cho,
Parkour
where'd
was
you go?
awesome.
And then you were silent.
Yeah,
You were
it was
silent.
so
What
cool.
happened?
Bird's gonna fall. I'm like, this bird's gonna fall. I just know it.
Oh no.
How did you die? Oh, you didn't make it, huh?
Mhm.
Oh, Pomni.
Flashlight.
Yes, King?
Like and sub chat. Oh my god.
How do I put this?
Resorting.
Okay, Jax is gay.
What? What did you say to me?
There's soccer. Someone buy that? You bought that?
No, we found it.
I don't want to play ball now.
I don't need no cookie cutter, perfect ordinary.
How did you die?
How? I forgot.
Free?
I honestly forgot. Oh, face hugger.
Did you was dead in front of me.
Yeah, I heard you go. I heard you go, guys. I'm dead. And then- Yeah.
Oh, be careful. Sometimes
At
there's
least my
water.
parkour
Be
was
careful.
Oh yeah, look at the
awesome.
ground. There's a lot of water everywhere. Careful.
Hell,
Water.
I
Oh yeah.
I almost died. I almost did.
Oh.
Gamer.
Why are you looking at the water?
Gamer.
It's very soothing.
The
Narcissist?
water.
Oh, there's a bee.
Water. Whoa, so dark. Get smarter. Hello.
Oh, look at bum.
flashlight.
You guys want to deal with that? I don't want to deal with that. Oh, so many things!
Oh, keys.
I got you, every pony.
Freaking both.
Oh, radiation
Someone
level.
rubbed it already?
Somebody got an item that'll turn off auto lights.
My flashlight died.
Your what? No, I'm kidding.
Flashlight.
Yeah, you didn't charge it
I
before
thought
you...
you said something else.
What did you heard?
Oh my god.
I stopped it.
What did you stop?
The steam.
Oh, good job. I'm so proud of
Oh.
You fucker! Pomni! You dumbass!
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
think Tayo died. I think Tayo died.
How did Tayo die?
No.
There's nothing in here.
Oh wait, my hand's full.
Yeah, there's a bomb.
There's nothing
There's
here.
a bomb, everybody.
I'm gonna push you.
Don't.
I think it's in here.
What?
Hey.
Hey.
I'm dying. There's a bee outside.
There's nothing in here.
A
The
bee
hell?
outside?
Yeah.
There's a bee outside. I'm dying.
Oh, okay. Dangerous.
Have you guys been here?
I'm so fucking
Can someone check out?
Yes. We didn't go upstairs.
No,
though.
you haven't. There's an Easter egg.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, trumpet.
Now we in the circus.
Yeah, we're in the circus for real.
Hello? Oh.
I'll just follow you.
Oh my god, not again! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Oh.
Oh no, I got you! Okay, this is the end. Matilda, I'm gonna miss you. I'm so sorry I couldn't save you. Goodbye.
Where are you guys? What the hell?
Matilda got the snare flea. The facehugger. Yeah, she's dead. Should we get her body?
Probably, but there's a chance that you'll get caught.
But the snare.
I have to eat it.
And I have to poo. Ah! Get away,
Get away from it, get away from it.
Hey, where's the hide though?
I have to pee and I have to poo. I need to pee and I need to poo.
Oh. Matilda?
What is that? Oh.
What?
Sev is lost.
Uh-oh.
Why are you a rock?
I don't know.
Hold on a second.
Hang on, I'll go here. That didn't explode.
Why is Pommy so scary?
Everyone's back, but Sev. Journey B.
How do you change instruments?
And
Sev is just going around. She's gonna attempt to jump this. Never mind.
What? Why are we so intimate?
I don't know. You tell me.
You! It's like I'm just. It's like I'm just carrying your sheet. Me abstracting?
Me abstracting. You're so funny. You're so funny.
What the hell is happening here?
Get out of here. It's none of your business. I mean, hi, Kinger. I'm so happy you're safe.
Hi, Pomni. What is happening here?
I don't think you want to know.
Why is Why is Gangle busting it down? What my yelling say? I want to move it too.
Press E. Wow, this is truly Digital Circus.
Wow, this is the Digital Circus. Remember, during one of my first performances in one of the adventures that I had with King, he told me to dance, pointing a gun to my head, and I just had to move it.
This is the Lethal Company experience.
Guys, I'm getting tired.
I can't stop.
Okay, he's moving.
Wait.
There we go.
Oh, stop! Don't do that! I'm gonna get stupid! I dance better in the shade! Oh!
Diego, actually.
Kinger forgets the choreography as soon as the spotlight hits him.
I think Diego's dead.
Oh no.
What?
Oh!
Yeah, you show that.
Oh!
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Why?
That was so sad.
Hi, Crystal.
What? I was like, whatever happens, I will always be.
What the hell?
I'm walking to the bathroom. Oh, underground. Oh,
I've never felt so frozen. I just saw Poppy die right before my very eyes.
Do we keep the flashlight?
Yeah.
We keep
yeah,
it,
we
right?
can.
The key?
Keep it.
Engage. Ow.
Oh shit.
That's what they did to I forgot his name. I don't care.
To Gummy Goo?
Yeah.
Hi.
What was the other guy? Al.
Alright.
Al.
Albert.
No. I forgot.
He was Albert.
Abel.
Bong someone with this?
Here, we did it.
Oh,
You're back!
we did it?
How did Kane save you?
I don't know. It was just a flash, and I got here.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Hey, do
Wow.
you want to have a gun?
It's kind of digital if you think about it.
Do you want to hold a gun?
No.
Tommy,
Wow.
have you ever heard of war?
Wow.
What's wrong with you?
Well,
I want to move it,
everything
move
What are
it.
you
about
buying? What are you
because
buying?
performing 4, that means I'm gonna have to be in the dark, which makes me super smart.
How do I
Right?
move it? Move it.
How do you
No! No! Get flashbacks when you got eaten. I remember the ice cream that I used to share with my wife. Chocolate vanilla swirl. Because of what?
Does only Dave get the
Hashtag suddenly Caucasian.
Oops.
I'm already Caucasian. Come back here.
I'm a rock.
You're a rock.
Oh wow.
Ooh, teleporter.
Yep.
I like the way you crouch. It's funny.
Me?
Kinger.
I'm moving.
Oh, it's time to move it.
Where's the flashlight? Hold on.
You really are busting it down.
You should turn off the lights.
Oh yeah. Find it out. Oh, get smarter. Oh.
Pommy looks terrifying.
Amazing digital dance floor.
Yeah!
Yeah. Wait, I got an idea.
Stop it.
Okay.
Yeah, shred that violin. You
Bubba's just bobbing.
He's bobbing.
If you guys want to continue,
Yes.
I can play one more.
Let's
and
go,
then I have to
Captain.
abstract.
Oh,
You really are the
Okay.
better dancer of the two.
okay.
wow. You really are the
Wow.
better dance.
Guys, I call this move. Bleh.
Where's our bone? Where's our bone? There you go.
I win!
Oh my god.
This adventure! It's so awesome! Thank you, King.
Bad.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know what this emote does. Hold on.
What? Let's see it.
I'm trying.
Somebody, stop emoting.
Someone.
Who's emoting?
No, you can't. It's hard. It's hard to stop.
Okay,
Tyler's
do it.
still bobbing.
Oh!
Oh my god!
Crazy!
Whoa.
Oh wait, we're all synced.
Don't wake up.
Oh my god! Yeah! Fuck it.
This is how you younglings do it?
This is amazing, guys.
The arthritis! Ah!
Oh my god.
So, stop it! What is our next adventure?
Hey.
Jax?
What abstraction feels like?
Alright, let's lock in.
Okay.
Did you pick a moon?
Not yet.
I was about to go.
Yeah, don't go. We can go to March again.
Yep.
Why don't we go to the moon?
Oh my god, what is Diego doing?
Oh!
Me too.
Can't stop! I can't stop! Bonding help!
Stupid. Oh my god. There's so many flashlights.
Yeah, I bought them. There's 8 of them.
I start to miss my wife.
Who's still dancing?
Yeah, flashlight.
Flashlight.
Let's jump!
Let's go, let's go. Oh! Do you see that?
Yeah. Hey, you know, this down.
Why do we have ads mid-game? That's weird.
I think Kane is losing funds for the circus.
Kane needs more money. We're running out of budget. There's a mine.
So do you know what that means? Kane, why don't you do some...
Okay, shut up.
I miss my wife, Pomni.
I'm sure she misses you too. Stop crying.
Whoa. See, this is what you did. You were so toxic. It increased their levels of radio. That's enough.
What? Mine.
Ah, so many mines.
Mine.
Another one. Ow. Have you ever stepped on a mine before?
No, you wanna try now?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do it. Because I don't want you to get hurt. So why don't I do you a favor? Stop!
You stop it!
No, bro! So where are the mines?
They got scared because they didn't want to get stepped on.
No, I'll step on it for you.
No, I'm not scared. They're scared. That's why they're not showing up.
You're scared? I'm scared?
No, the
I'm gonna
mines
go on
are. What is that? Okay, oh, it's you.
What? You can't see? Oh.
You guys don't have a flashlight?
No, I didn't bring one.
I ate it.
Just step on
Of
it.
course you would.
Omni, let me show you a demonstration on what to do when you're going to a
I'm not
landmine,
looking.
okay? No, come back here! You're so steamy! What's that?
Hey, what?
Hi.
Hi.
I got this.
Hi!
Oh.
Oh, there's a landmine. Show me.
Right here, every pony. This is what you shouldn't do. See? Oh, wait, I'm so skinny! I couldn't even, see?
Yeah, now. Go.
There's literally nothing.
Oh my god. Oh. Oh.
That?
Eh?
Anyways.
I heard tapping.
Anyways.
Put our body.
Oh! Oh my
I
god!
was gonna walk under. Oh my god.
I got hit by a trap.
I'm going back.
There's a red
Why? Jack's holding me like I'm a sushi roll.
Oh. We all die?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get revived.
Thank you, Jane.
You got it. Okay, nice. Are you going back or no?
Wow.
I think you should teleport you in.
What is that noise?
Let's go home.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's just Dave's.
I can't grab everything
Clicks.
else. I have a body.
I wonder how Blood Tilde is doing.
05.
Me
and
too.
you just type it in here into the access terminal. Oh yeah, there's a way to disable mines, I think.
She's in good hands.
What is that?
What is that? Oh! Oh!
What the?
The fuck?
What is that?
Oh, the goop.
Oh, poor Dave.
Oh.
I kind of hope he steps on a mine. Come on,
Okay.
you can do it. You can do it, Dave. Step on it. Damn it! Oh.
Everything was on me. What could he do?
So like I'm lost.
Oh.
Oh god.
Ew.
No. No, 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 no.
Oh, spider.
No, no,
So,
no, no, no,
run,
no, no, no.
run.
She ran out of
Send it to
stamina.
His
Somebody
back
help me,
hurts.
huh? I'm not looking, 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 joking.
She's so skinny.
What's behind you, bro? Oh my god, there's a spider behind me, huh?
Like touching your butt.
Ah, Jack! Oh my
But the
god,
spider
what is
died
with
to
Jack
the-
right now?
To the trap.
My body.
It's amazing how Joe's still alive.
Come and get a laugh.
What am I supposed to
Did
do?
you get caught by something?
What am I supposed to do at
I
that
think so. I see it
There's
on
a
their
lot of
screen.
bitches.
Carefully, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my goddamn body.
Oh no.
We can do this. No, I
Is
think
everybody dead? Dave's dead.
Thanks, so.
Stuff's dead. I was dead.
Hey, how did you do?
Somebody died in this corner. Is Joe still
What's
alive?
dead?
I can't tell.
Somehow.
I think
Looks
Joe's
like it's still
dead.
moving. Maybe.
No, I think they're stuck in a web or something.
Oh, maybe.
I think their body got
That's
trapped
my
in a
body.
web.
Yeah. But that's so sad.
It goes vote to leave early if we're all dead.
Okay.
Vote, guys.
You could teleport us in. Still, technically.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can.
Vote, vote, vote.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I think they're forgetting.
Looks like everyone's dead. Yeah. Bye. The only survivor.
He died and it was all downhill from there.
A pretty good column here.
Told you I'll change. You and
You're
Yay.
just a Jack's toy. I don't even care, boy. I'm not thinking about
We did
you.
Damn, everybody dead.
Everyone's
Yeah.
dead.
Casualties.
work.
You have 2
Yeah.
days. Aren't no
Nice
cookie
love.
cutter perfect ordinary? Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you.
My flashlight. I'm gonna steal this one.
I want one. I want my own army.
Oh,
I want my
I want
own
my
planet.
own planet.
I
I
deserve this.
deserve it. I'm just as important as you.
Now that I
Why
look
don't
at
you
it,
act like
my
it, Karen?
water bottle kind of looks like
Move it, move it.
Look like what?
exact same color. Water
Oh,
bottle.
what?
My water bottle looks like Kinger.
Oh. Who's dancing? Oh.
Act with me, Tommy.
What?
We will be adamant.
Okay. It's a scary one. It's a hard one.
What?
It's a really hard one.
Ooh.
No, God.
Do you know what this calls for? A burger.
I mean, yeah, all you think about is burgers.
I'm kicking her right now. I'm not Savanto, whoever that is.
Whoa. What?
Body of a
that?
Canadian, the mind of an American.
Whoa! What a bird, what a bird.
Do you want to see my wife
I think that the bird is in this map, yeah. Wait.
Is it in the same spot always?
Ow.
It's a house. Can we go in there?
No. Unless you have a key. No one can hear me. Oh, there you are.
Speedrun.
You're just a gay boy. I'm not trying to play boy. I'm done thinking. Ooh. I'll come back for you. I hear something. That's my footsteps. That's what I was hearing. I'm done thinking about you. Thinking about you. You're just a gay boy. Hi, hey.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not trying to play boy. Why did I go here again? I'm Chud. Nothing here.
Oh.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm so sure. I'm so digital circus sure.
Is there something down here?
Where?
I hear something. What was that?
Mm-hmm.
You hear that? What was that? Hey.
Hello. Oh, beautiful night.
I hear some activity. I want to check it out.
Oh.
I'm not here to find anything anymore. Where's the action?
What?
One
Hey.
connection.
Hey.
Flashlight for me.
Hey.
Oh, I hear something. I think it's the fart monster.
Oh, it's a valve.
No.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh god, it's a thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's a thing. I'm going. No, cookie cutter, perfect on it.
I already dropped off from something.
This route, right?
You're going the right way.
Are we?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. Don't worry, Palmy's here. The main character, probably the savior.
Okay.
Whoa. Hope and trust in humanity restored.
Do we have humanity? Are we even humans?
Okay.
No.
Teleport?
No,
Dead
no,
bodies?
no.
Who's dead?
Someone died? Oh.
Diego's still alive. Abe is still alive. Kio's still
Yep.
alive.
Yep.
Devon's still alive.
Oh.
Ayo's still alive.
Nice.
Still alive. Diego's still alive. Blood is
You
dead.
don't know how to read
they're not.
this.
Hold on.
I think Until is dead. No! What does this look like? Screenshot.
Ah! Kane! Oh! Stay alive, buddy!
Body.
Is everyone here now?
I don't know.
think.
How come I
No?
can't pick you up?
Kid's dead body. Oh.
Oh, I can't pick them up.
Oh, of
You
course
can.
you'll be very happy about that.
What are you talking about?
No, because Tayo, aka Bubble, was like, Kane's dead body. Like,
Oh.
I didn't. Well, I was in character without realizing I was in character. Yay!
There we go.
your big teeth.
Dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab.
I think that's all of us. I think we're good to go.
Can somebody do an emo? I wanna dance while I have Kane's body on my
I don't know how to. I don't know how to do it. Crazy. Crazy.
You're dancing with us. Oh my god.
Kane's subtracting. And Rin too.
Why does it look crazy?
This is like the body physics.
Can we move it without the?
Hold on. keys on that thing.
Get off the emote.
Kyle,
Huh?
Jump.
What happened?
jump.
Oh.
Here we go.
Cho was like 2 feet away.
I'm lost. I'm not good with directions. I'm telling you.
You're lost.
I'm lost. I keep looking at the main entrance.
You keep being the last one standing.
Me?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's move.
Okay.
I need to hold someone's hand.
I love moving in with you guys.
Yeah.
Let's be offensive.
Okay.
Okay. Jax, you.
What? Why me? Why me?
Whoa.
Why me? What do? Where's the key? Where's the key?
We're being offensive.
Offensive? You know what's offensive?
I got a weapon.
Huh?
Your smell.
Alright, I'm on camera duty. Look out there.
I got a little gun. Got a loaded gun.
Jump.
You should jump.
Get out there,
Oh,
soldier.
what happened?
Get out there, soldier.
Oh,
Get out
okay,
there,
okay.
soldier.
Until we trudge on forward.
And so, the Digital Circus Gang continue
I'm
on
gonna follow
their
someone
adventure.
around. I'm gonna follow someone around, or else I'm gonna get lost again.
Follow me.
Follows
Okay.
you.
Follow me!
Follows you.
And you will never! I don't know, I forgot the dialogue.
You will never.
My god, there's so many of these things.
Oh! Oh my goodness.
Everybody get in the elevator.
Oh my god.
Let's do 3 at a time, just in case there's something in here. If everybody's in
guys.
the elevator. Okay, let's go. Oh.
I'm so sorry.
You can press the button to go up. For it to go up.
I
Bye.
forgot to grab a
And
flashlight.
then-
Hello. I'm so sorry.
Are so mean to Kagami Rin.
Yes.
Hey guys, look at this.
Oh, bye.
That was perfect.
Oh, it's good.
Nothing.
Oh
No
my god,
keys?
there's mine everywhere.
We have a key in this ship. Oh,
There's nothing down there.
Mine.
Who keeps on teleporting me?
Yoink.
I'm in a cave.
oh wait, we went here. There's nothing here.
Oh, there's something else.
Hey, everybody.
I'm stuck.
Where's a cub?
I'm behind
Oh
you.
me!
We're so lost.
I'm behind you.
You're so scared. You're fucking
Oh,
scared.
hi. Follow.
I look at your stream, I look scarier.
Yeah.
Oh.
Look at me, okay?
So scary.
Ew.
Alright, I'm going back to
I'm
the
so
elevator.
scary.
Is there anything else in here?
Yep, there's still stuff up in there.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go.
Oh. Let's go.
Oh, there's something.
Oh, it's perfect. Matches.
True.
Yes.
I got
It's
stuck.
good. I'm stuck.
This is my last game by the way. I need to sleep. Oh, I got stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, nice.
There is a hole. Be careful.
Oh, wow. And a mine. Oh.
I don't know what that is. It's water.
Water?
Can I open? Nope. Okay, we're going back up.
I have an item.
Can't do anything. Don't have keys.
Who's skiing?
The circus. Isn't it amazing?
Oh.
Oh!
Oh my goodness.
Oh, what happened?
How'd that happen?
What happened? I'll carry him.
Okay. How did he die there?
I carry Jed. Did he fell?
You hear that?
I don't think they can.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm kind of dead.
Uh-huh.
Is anyone here?
Yeah?
Is this creature? Whoa, I didn't die.
What
gave
is
up.
that?
Creature? It gave
There's a
up.
dog
Careful,
thing.
careful.
Careful. It came for me, and I was supposed to die, but I guess I didn't. So.
Oh, I'm running.
Just gotta try again. Look. Oh. Just go. Everybody go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Go,
on, guys,
everybody go
come
while
here.
it's distracted.
I got stuck.
Jump.
I have a dead body.
Slide down the mountain.
The dog is still trying. It's failing.
Yeah. Oh
no, there's someone coming.
No,
No,
it's
there's
scared of
one.
us if we stay in a group.
Yeah.
Move!
Did I do good?
Yeah, I guess. Did you guys get the stuff?
I got one thing.
I don't know. I've been here this entire time.
Did you guys
Aside
get the
from-
stuff that I dropped?
No?
I got some stuff. Really? I dropped a bunch of stuff. Me. I got some.
I can't get up. I can't get up.
The dog was trying to kill me, and then it just made me drop all my
Help.
stuff.
What even is that?
Help.
Huh?
Help. I can't get up.
Hello.
Drop it.
Why?
Oh yeah, there we go. I think that's my stuff. Yep.
I'll drop some items.
That dog. It tried to kill me and failed 3 times.
Kobe.
What does this look like?
What
does this look like?
Hold on. Help. Let me take a photo. Hold on. Okay, I got you. I'll send it into Discord.
So you think that
Oh.
dog will make its way
Oh
over
my
here?
god.
No.
What do I look like? What's the fucking scary?
So scary.
Is there more loot?
Really?
I think there's more loot or no?
No, we're fine.
The dog's gonna come for you.
Book it.
Why is Kinga moving around?
He's twitching.
A loading gun. This? It's a
Why is he
loading gun.
moving?
I don't know.
I'm gonna start it.
Okay. Can I open this? Can I open it? What was that?
What was it?
What did I got? What was that?
It's a laser pointer.
Oh. Where?
On the wall.
I can't see. The report.
Hurry up, report.
Okay. Where?
Diego and Seb were the reasons of my death. Ugh.
Whoa.
Plead your case.
Diego keeps teleporting Sev, but because of because of that, Diego accidentally teleported me, and when I tried to go back into the company, I freaking died from the dog.
Oh.
Which we didn't know there was a dog.
Confession.
And then Sev ran away.
I was the one that moved the thing from me to you, Dave.
Ooh, even more of a reason.
Please don't kill me.
You guys are evil.
I'm so sorry,
They're
Gangle.
so evil.
Okay.
AI.
And this is a loaded gun.
That's
I'm
why
so sorry,
AI
Gangle.
kills.
Please don't draw a yaoi of me and Kane. Please don't draw a yaoi of me.
Oh my god.
The more you beg for it not to happen, the more it will happen.
I'm so scared. Please don't do it. Please don't do it.
We have 0 days.
I'm so terrified for my life. I don't know what my wife would think about this. Eh?
Cheeks from your fingers.
Here's a pencil. Don't do it. Don't do it, please. I'm so
Oh my god.
Uncomfortable.
You're stupid.
You're so slow, Pomni. Oh, you are this thing.
Leave me alone. I had a long day.
This is not day, right? This is day 0.
Yes.
Engage.
Oh, thank you, Pop.
Oh, it's Judgment Day.
Well, what's the judgment?
Tentacles.
Nothing's happening. Go ring the bell again.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
The way.
Ew, why are you running?
Somebody go down the hatch where my item is down there.
Okay.
What hatch? You go. Oh. Oh.
Where are you going, Pomni?
It looks like a crime scene.
So who freaking died?
There you go.
What did you do? I can grab his body. Oh, wait.
I can't climb?
I don't know why I
you
can't
can't
grab
climb. You have the.
We can't.
Oh,
Huh.
Wait.
where did the item go?
Here,
Oh. Who's typing away?
Me.
So loud.
Actually,
Like, what's going on? An earthquake. Oh, you got the body? Or no?
Where's Sev going?
Oh.
Wow.
How do we feel?
Wow. Wow. Wowie.
Wanna do one more round or are we done?
I have to
Can-
go to abstract.
Yeah,
Oh.
you have to go.
I have to go.
Kalkana scrap. Up to you guys.
Okay,
Oh,
goodbye,
why is
Cho.
my vision blurry?
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
You just
Bye.
kind of escape and exit.
Oh wait. So,
Oh.
You gotta manifest the exit with your mind.
Jax is going to abstract.
I'm going abstracting. Okay, hold on. Wait, where's that one? The thing.
Escape and then press quit.
The emote. Do the emote.
Oh,
Well, I abstract.
do the emote, Dave. This is Kane's
Muffet.
Jax's abstraction song.
Muffet.
It's funny. Okay, bye.
Bye.
No, Jack's abstracted.
Well, at least we have each other.
Wow.
You Pomni! Get away from me! I'm taking our boss with us!
Okay, let's throw him around.
One more.
What moon? Did you pick one, Kyo?
Huh? What?
I'm gonna start ship.
Yes.
Yes. Wow, now that Jax is gone, it means I can wear his skin, right?
Go now!
Hello?
Hello.
Alright, one moon. Captain! Adobe Anime open this whole time for no reason. Ragatha!
Oh.
I heard you're a
Oh.
Lebanese, Ragatha. Whoa!
I think
I
Dave's.
have a wife!
Hello?
No, Ragatha, I have a wife!
Wait,
Please.
stop emoting. Who's emoting? What the hell?
Oh?
Oh.
Oh my god.
This was pretty good too.
I'm a swagger.
This is
I'm a
crazy.
swagger.
I understand MMD now. How are you walking?
It's on the right side of the emotes menu.
Oh.
Move well.
Why are you acting like a germ?
A germ?
Oh, stop.
Okay. Let's go to the moon! Let's go to... Vow.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh. Whoa!
Let's go.
Wait, I wanna do that.
Wave if you're gay! Checks out.
Pretty gay. Lol.
Let's go!
Hello?
Hello.
Are you guys here? Don't get lost, guys. Me, personally, I never get lost. Why'd you laugh to that? There was no punchline.
Trust you.
Nah, don't fall on the bridge.
Nah!
Okay.
The bridge was shaking, she's so heavy!
I miss my wife.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Come on, come on. Damn it!
I'm in.
Oh.
Hey guys.
Key? Guys, I got the key. To where? I don't know yet. I can't see nothing.
It's your big and fat.
There's
What?
nothing here. Okay.
Yeah? Cookie pan. But where got cookie at?
Wouldn't you like to know? What the hell? Hey.
Hello.
I'm out of here. I got my stuff. I'm out of here.
I have some stuff to do.
Okay.
there's more this way. Hold on, go over here.
Wait.
Oh wait, there's a downstairs? No, there isn't.
Oh my wow.
Yeah, this way. This way. And this way. No, this way. Don't fall.
I'll try.
Wow,
There you
gamer.
go. There's really nothing else in here.
Yours less gay.
Okay, Kingers, Doppelganger.
Wow.
I'll get TP'd. Oh!
Oh no!
Should we go or should we pick it up?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Don't want to mess with that.
I can move.
Oh, there's something grippy.
Okay.
I miss my wife.
Me when I see Commando Manato. That's what you sound like.
You should go. Pushes you.
You want me to kill myself?
No. I want to kill you.
Why would you activate it? I'm not even in time!
Why would you do that?
I'm so sorry.
Why would you do that?
Oh. He heard us.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Oh.
Oh.
They got dragged back down there. Were you guys in the mines this whole time?
Yeah.
Oh.
A rubber duck.
Yeah, the duck makes noise.
Hello. How are you
the
feeling?
duck. Hola. I'm gonna
What was
duck
that baby acting up? Who who did that?
The baby's acting up.
Oh, whoa! What happened?
Whoa.
That's crazy! Oh,
He
I got
teleported you.
isekai.
How many ducks?
Oh, nobody died. I
Something
think. I thought somebody died because I heard the baby acting. I was like,
Yeah.
But yeah, we left there.
I did not hear no baby.
Baby.
Where the hell's my husband?
Hear me tonight.
By me.
Hey, super.
Alright.
Where's Sev? Boy.
So have you
No
lost?
worries. You lost.
Let me see.
There he is.
There he is. Zed? Hi.
Oh.
I find my ways.
We're all here.
As long as
Oh.
we're here.
You're just wasting all the stun grenades.
I
I
didn't.
bought the stun grenade. Oh,
Hey,
are
we're
we
all here.
serious?
That's so
Do
much
we have
stuff.
enough stuff?
Yeah, on the first
Yeah.
day. That's
Whoa, risky,
Oh, that's
risky.
pretty good.
good run, guys. Next. We should do a third. Can we afford a level 3 yet?
No.
Not
Damn.
sure.
Okay.
What if we sell everything now?
No.
Oh, somebody's belly.
Yeah, it's you.
No.
Do you want to sell everything now, actually? That'll work.
No.
No, but then we don't maximize profit if we do that.
Let's check moves.
Whoa.
Oh, all of them are good.
Wow.
Whoa,
Bless you.
thank you. Let's march on forward. I get it, because we're on to march.
Ah!
Ah, Outrax. There's more. Jump, Pomni, jump.
Same map.
Ow.
Same map.
I thought you were like behind me whenever you say that.
Let's go.
Oh. Why did that scare me?
I did that. Oh my god. Oh!
Turret?
There's a turret in there. Fire exit.
There's a turret here. There's a turret here. Move, 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 move. Go, 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 go. No!
Who died?
Matilda. Matilda died.
Oh
Who died? Oh. Take that.
no! I see it. Oh. I see the turret.
Yeah, it's right there.
Get opened.
Need to put this into the.
This can get TP'd. Oh my god, oh my god.
Y'all okay?
Yeah.
Have you went inside there yet?
Where? In here?
Yeah.
Somebody did. I don't know who though.
Apparatus.
Asparatu.
Why do the lights turn off but not the turrets?
Oh.
Go, go, go!
Not that way.
There go drop something. My big fat butt.
Teleport Blintilda. Teleport her.
Oh, wait. Oh, somebody's
Oh.
got it, but I'm gonna teleport it anyways. I think.
I'm already carrying her!
No, you didn't.
More stuff?
Let's go, Tommy.
Where?
Is there any more stuff?
Maybe I did open one.
Where going?
Back to the safe.
I'll follow you.
Aww.
Where'd you? Okay. You heard that?
Yeah.
There's
I think
nothing
that-
here, by the way.
Let's stick together.
Ah, we really are the amazing digital circus. Oh, there you guys are.
Thumper.
Okay. Don't go in.
What happened? What happened?
Thumper.
We gotta go.
We just gotta go. Aye!
Oh.
I'm fine.
You dumbass!
Why is Tyro
Alright.
still? Is Tyro okay?
Teleport. Oops.
Think around.
Oh,
Final
no.
round.
Ah, Jax!
Oh,
Alright, let's go then, I guess.
bye bye. Ah.
Oh shoot, Diego's body, I forgot.
Oh
Hey, can you TP?
No, you can't TP when you're in the air. I thought you could.
Aw.
My Uber. My Uber.
Wow. Your Uber.
Yeah, that's
One
about
day left. Alright guys, it's the
One day
final
left.
day. Let's make this count. Okay? On one.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, digital circus!
Let's be assured, because the other tier 2 moons are filled to the brim with condition.
What did you say?
Oh,
Speak up, I can't hear you.
What would you say, Dip? Sorry.
Jump!
So scary.
Oh my God.
Kinko's so scary.
yeah.
Oh. We got birds. We got trees are green, red roses too. Da 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 da.
Hi.
Da, da, da. And I
Yellow.
think to myself, where do we go? Where is it?
Over there.
Where?
Here. So someone's in here.
Ah!
Huh?
Oh.
Or not.
Oh
yeah, here,
fell
there's a-
halfway.
Ladder.
I guess this is a way. But I don't know where after this.
No idea either. You can see.
Oh, I'm right behind you. Damn. What a view. Alright, keep going. Going, guys.
Yo! Pervert.
Jump!
I was talking about the scenery. Where are we going?
Here or there?
Where do we
Where
go?
going?
Just slide down the.
Oh,
Hi.
Hey!
Just drop it here.
Huh?
Just
Oh,
drop your stuff here.
Oh, okay.
go.
Big loot.
Oh,
Big loot.
there's some stuff here.
Saw something. There was something behind you.
Huh?
joking. I saw a big spider.
No. No.
Oh no. Oh.
It's fine. We don't have anything. So it won't hurt us.
Okay.
Oh.
But we have each other.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, where do we go?
Aye!
Good guy. Oh,
I told you. Get it.
oh,
Wrong way.
run, Polly.
Wrong way.
Bobby,
No!
right here.
You got your voice.
Crazy.
Are they okay?
It's happy, it's happy, it's okay.
Yippee.
See
We're
you,
fine.
bug.
Where's Seb?
Yippee.
I'm right here.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh. Oh.
Oh,
Is it
something's
just
chasing.
Does it just like kind of follow you around? Oh.
So.
I'm so fucking scared. I'm so fucking scared. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me.
No idea.
Hello? Hello?
Guys, I think
Come back.
I ever pony. Oh my god, don't leave it for me.
Hello? Where'd my friends go? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Not me, not me.
Oh,
Not right now.
No, don't. Oh, pick it up.
No, come on, no! I'm so close.
So, there's nothing on
I
my
was so
Pokemon, but I'm
close.
still alive. What do I
We
do?
just fell down.
Oh my god, do not go that way.
Oh.
Is there any more things for us to pick up?
Run.
I
Run,
don't
we gotta
see
go.
any other. Oh. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Thing for us to really pick up.
Oh, there
I
it is.
mean, I kinda got a big
They're
loot,
all out,
and they
I
just
think.
picked it up.
I'm gonna go now.
Oh, go back to the ship.
Well,
This adventure sucks.
It's used to be that it's used to to which degree who answers to her?
Y'all got
Seeing how the
everything? Did you
visual
guys get
circus
everything at the fire
characters
exit too?
walk together.
Okay.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
Damn.
No. Wait.
Hi, Max.
Oh, that's with us, Omni!
So close.
Tommy's dead.
Oh my god.
I
Boy,
Track
what's
tomorrow.
going on? Great.
He's tossing us around.
What are you doing?
Why am I stepping on top of it? That's so cat.
Oh my god, Jack, stop hurting her!
Nah, how about we keep going? Ragdoll physics though.
Told you that I never would. What happened?
Is everyone
What?
in the ship?
Oh.
Oh. Are there more things to get?
No.
Beehive. I'm gonna get.
I don't want to get the beehive.
We can try.
Just get ready to pull the lever.
I don't know if you'll reach it that far.
Wait, where is the beehive? Oh,
Right
okay.
in the bush.
Why is everyone
Try
doing
to
it?
nudge it in closer.
I have no idea.
Have a teapot.
Kind of.
I'm gonna get the beehive.
Everybody, start the ship, start the
Pull
ship,
the lever.
start the
Pull the
ship.
lever.
The ship.
Starting it.
Start the ship.
All the beavers.
Oh, behind!
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we gotta go!
We gotta go.
We gotta go!
Okay.
Got the beehive too.
Got him.
Oh my god.
You're so filthy rich.
I was like, what killed Akka and Till?
I'm not sure.
The hoarding bug.
And then I teleported them in and then died.
I was right at the door too. We died at the door.
What was it?
No.
The bug.
Is it the yippee bug?
Yep.
Bots.
Yippee bug.
Oh no.
All the bots.
To the company, the company. Who's doing that?
Who's bouncing on it?
Wow.
It's gonna be a stack.
Grabbing something.
All the best.
We're too rich. We're too rich.
Gotta make
Yay.
it out of the circus.
You're not meant to. Accept that.
Oh.
Oh.
We finally made enough money for the executives. They will let us go. Right?
Right.
Right?
Right. Kane's definitely gonna give us a break, huh?
Yeah, me too, company. I'm hungry too.
Ready?
What? What was that?
Not a smoke bomb?
Welcome back to the
my
digital
God.
circus. I am Kinger.
You're just wasting every single stun grenade.
Other than this bomb ass,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. Whoa!
That's too much money. That's too much. Alright. Let's start.
Let's start. We don't need to buy any item other than maybe. Hold on.
Hey.
Do we want to buy an item before we go? Okay.
Only our friends.
I like when you look up. Kinger does like a right angle.
Am I a cute angle?
No, you're right angle.
You're wrong. Where is the plane?
Did we buy anything? We're too rich, bruh. Don't go down.
Clouds. So cloudful. Okay.
Hi, something down here.
There is nothing down there.
You looking at the thing down there?
Oh. What are we doing?
Hello.
Ooh, we're going down the bunker?
There's nothing down there.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my god!
Huh?
We should get over there.
Yeah?
Dude, when I was climbing up, I saw the inside of Kinger's.
Oh.
Yo! I
Whoa!
have a wife!
Where is she?
Dirty King. Dang, Pomni, I didn't know you were inside Kingler. Hello?
Omni!
Oh.
I didn't know you got game like that. Damn!
Wow,
make
wow,
me-
me next.
Oh my god, ladies!
Young again.
Me next.
Feel so youthful. Do it again.
No.
He looks so traumatized in the corner.
What are you doing?
I want
How do you-
to
how do you
look
crouch?
inside me again.
I'm
Oh
gonna
my
go.
god.
I don't
Look
think
inside me
this
too.
working out, guys.
Say hi to my wife for me.
I was gonna make a funny joke. Well, like, not funny. Well, it's kind of funny.
Well, say it anyways.
Girls aren't into it.
Anyway.
Like
Wow.
Diego, we gotta go.
You get the reference?
I didn't catch that.
Everyone's here, right?
Oh.
Yes.
Stop laughing, you're so...
Come back here.
Whoa. Teleporting.
Omni,
You
you're
have 2
25, right?
teleporters.
I remember this.
What?
You're 25, right?
I don't know. Why is that important to you?
So that's at the bar.
Uh-huh.
I am at least 52 years old. But,
Oh my god.
or I guess you could say 57.
67.
Dang.
57, the number. But 67? How do you do 67?
6'7" though. Are you 6'7" years old?
I hope not.
But Pomni, I mean, Akarosa, I thought you liked them old.
Ah! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Why would you do that on stream? You really hate me, don't you? You really like embarrassing me? Is this some sort of sick, twisted joke that you're playing right now? You hate me!
Fermented, marinated.
No, don't abstract. Oh.
This is the ending.
Oh.
Together, we are the digital circus.
This is how the digital circus ends.
Casting Justin Timberlake as Kane.
I'm sorry, I'm not of age yet.
Zendaya as Pomni.
Jason Momoa as Kinger.
Oh my god. Tom Holland as Jax.
Wait, actually, that
Zendaya as
actually
Pomni.
fits.
Sydney Sweeney as Gangle.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Zuba.
And Jamie Lee Curtis as Zubo.
What? One puppets, one voices.
And lastly, Kagabing Rin as Aquafina.
With additional voices like Bubble as Chris Pratt.
Oh.
With a surprising returning guest, Charlie Kirk. Guys, let's flag the ship. We're gonna crash.
Directed by...
Oh my god.
I don't even, I forgot her name. I'm blanking. Whatever.
Anyways, party's over. Thank you guys so much for playing with me. It's so much fun.
Gummy Goo as Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay. Credits isn't even done yet. It's like the scene in between credits.
Oh my god.
Wow, I could stay here forever. Right, guys?
After the death to Lion's crack. Oh no! Get smarter. That's your so fucked.
What'd you say to me?
Oh.
We are so fucked. It's so dark. Oh, hi Pomni.
Alright, I'm kicking you guys all out. Thank you. I bet half that VOD was muted.
Crazy, we abstracted.
We all
Freaking
abstracted.
Is it? Well, I guess I'm lucky I got a clip before it was muted.
Oh my
The
god.
whole thing.
Crystal said Gummy Goo as Robert Downey Jr.
Gummy
So, it's so nice being friends with every
That
pony.
was funny.
Yes.
That was
That was fun.
That was really fun.
It was really fun.
And you know, it's kind of funny. Akarosu doesn't have his VOD saved, so
I could put the VOD up.
Oh,
it's a fleeting memory
Yeah.
for every pony.
No, I could put the VOD up.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. I guess we all remember.
Clever.
We
forever.
remember. I'm trying to think of who to raid. I could raid Peter. That'd be
Oh, is
funny.
he streaming right now?
Yeah. I'm so invested in his Tomodachi life. It's so funny. Of course. Okay. Peter Park. Oh my god. Start locking in on the stream. Okay. Thank you guys, and thank you chat for watching this amazing digital
Yay!
circus.
Yes.
I'll see you guys.
It's